Hello and welcome to Oddspedia Bundesliga Matchday 5. We continue analyzing the German league with Bayern Munich thrashing every team. It's almost a safe bet going for Asian handicap minus whatever you want, Ronan, if you are back in Bayern Munich. But also Dortmund are in good form. Hello, Ronan.
Yeah, it's a good start to the season for Bayern Munich, but also a good start to the season for Borussia Dortmund and RB Leipzig and Cologne as well. But yeah, Borussia Dortmund and RB Leipzig we're used to seeing around the top of the table. So maybe we'll have a bit of interest this season. Probably not, as we've been saying every week, because Bayern Munich keeps scoring goals. But yeah, makes the top four a little bit more interesting, at least having those two teams probably starting well as Bayern Munich.
Well, unless Bayern Munich have injury issues, it's going to be very difficult to have a title fight. But let's see, 18 goals scored by Bayern Munich in only 4 games. These numbers are great. So, guys, let's analyze whatever we have in this weekend in Germany. Of course, with Ronan, but also with you. Ask any question to Ronan. Tell us your tips. Press the like, subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. Well, and we have to start talking about Bayern Munich opening this new match day on Friday, playing Champions League the following week, and they are playing at home against Werder Bremen. I guess we should expect again a big result. Harry Kane already 8 goals this season. And no matter if you are playing in Europe, in Germany, Chelsea, Hoffenheim, they keep scoring goals. And also, Werder Bremen is a team that concedes goals. All the games have been over 2.5 goals so far for Werder Bremen, and they have conceded 10. So it could be a goal feast here.
Yeah, it looks like that. Definitely, you mentioned in the intro that Bayern had scored 18 goals already this season. And of course, that's the new Bundesliga record for the most goals scored after 4 match days. So, yeah, Bayern Munich keeps scoring goals. Harry Kane keeps scoring lots of those goals. And if you look at the odds on Bayern Munich to win this match are 111. The odds on Bayern Munich to win the Bundesliga are 110. So there's as much chance of them winning the league as winning this game. So this is one of the matches that they definitely will win en route to the title. So yeah, it is also made harder because Werder Bremen have their captain who's a huge doubt. He's Marco Friedl. He had a knee injury in training on Tuesday, so he had to pull out with training. They're just signing Samuel Bangola that they signed from Juventus as well. He's only back in individual training after missing the match last week. So Werder Bremen are starting the season awfully, and Bayern Munich are starting the season brilliantly. And if you have to look at the goals market, you have to put Bayern Munich over 3.5 goals, nearly to double your money, or Bayern Munich over 4.5 goals is 290. It's that low. The bookies expect Bayern Munich just to score so many goals in every game, and especially this game. So maybe Nicholas Jackson might get a start, but after Max Eberl's comments after his first start, he didn't seem that impressed with him. He said he had relatively little time here, and he needs. It's clear the connection is not there yet. Is what he said. So that the player expects more, the team expects more. So it's most likely that Harry Kane is going to score again because there's a record to be broken for Harry Kane. He is heading for 100 goals at Bayern Munich. He's taken 103 games to get there, and with a new club, the two fastest players are Erling Haaland at Man City and Cristiano Ronaldo at Real Madrid, and they both got to 100 goals in 105 games. So if Harry Kane can score twice this weekend against Werder Bremen, that will be him getting the record. Kane has been, as you see on the screen, Kane to score 2 or more goals is 250. I like to look at that one because for him to score just 1 goal is somewhere around 130, 135. So it's not great as a 9-time goal scorer. So you have to look at maybe that as an option for Harry Kane to score. But another good one could be Bayern Munich to score a penalty. Kane is the first player in Bundesliga history to score all his first 17 penalties in the Bundesliga. Bayern have been awarded 6 penalties already this season in all competitions. So Bayern Munich to score a penalty is 325. So they're probably where the value is in this match, because you'd have to go for Asian handicap -6, I'd say, to get any value from Bayern Munich.
Yeah, very difficult. Penchev is also telling us that he doesn't see any value in this game on 𝐬𝐵 Bayer to win both halves. So let's try to find some value in other games. Let's go to the drama. Heidenheim, Augsburg, 0 points for Heidenheim. Same as Wolfsburg in the Premier League, but it's unusual to see in 4 games, 0 points, only 2 goals scored. They lost to Hamburg last weekend, a direct rival, but things are not better for Augsburg. Only 3 points with the win in the match day 1 against Freiburg. All 4 games were both teams to score for Augsburg, by the way.
Yeah, I think the kind of fixture calendar is a bit more tricky on Augsburg, and that's probably why they find themselves in 16th. They only have a win in the first day against Freiburg, like I said, and they've lost their 3 games since then. But they've been scoring in those games. They were able to score twice in a 3-2 defeat to Bayern Munich. So I think this Augsburg team can score goals, and that's what they're trying to do under the new manager, obviously. So Heidenheim, on the other hand, they do not look like they can score a lot of goals. They've only scored twice this season, and both of those were last weekend. They conceded 2 or more in all 4 games they've played this season. Well, apart from last weekend, in 3 of the 4 games this season, I should say. So this is one where you would imagine Augsburg are looking for 3 points to move away from that relegation battle, because Heidenheim, I think, as we predicted earlier in the season, are going to be a team that will be in the relegation battle and kind of in these positions all season, because it's going to be a long, hard season. They got a couple of nice signings on loan, but they didn't really strengthen the team after maybe having a difficult season last season. So it's going to be a long season for Heidenheim. I like the look of an Augsburg win at 257. It looks pretty good. Augsburg, head-to-head in recent years, they have 5 wins to Heidenheim's 1. So they probably will do it again here, because Heidenheim at the moment look like they're not scoring a lot of goals. They're finding it very hard to win. So, Augsburg to win is 257. A bit safer if you want. Augsburg Asian handicap 0 is 182.
I can see Augsburg winning this game. Both teams to score is also possible. 𝐬𝐵 going for the draw. Indeed, stay away from Heidenheim. Next one is Mainz Dortmund. First win of the season for Mainz. 1-4, the one you said, against Augsburg. 4 points for them. Dortmund, they beat Wolfsburg. This time was 𝗵𝗲𝗍𝗻𝗓 scoring, not 𝐬𝐿𝐴. He didn't score also in Torino, remember. So Dortmund keeping a good record in the Bundesliga, but be careful, Ronan. Mainz is not a good stadium for Dortmund. They lost in the last 2 trips there.
Yeah, they lost the Bundesliga title a couple of seasons ago at Mainz. So yeah, that match will always haunt Borussia Dortmund. It will be one of those ones in the negative history of Borussia Dortmund. So, yeah, they will always have nightmares, I think, playing against Mainz. But at the moment, Dortmund are a team that shouldn't lose to Mainz. They haven't lost it this season. They're only one of 2 teams unbeaten. Obviously, Bayern Munich are the other one, because they've won every game. They've conceded just 3 goals in the Bundesliga this season. That's kind of what we saw last season when 𝐻𝐞𝐭'𝐬 took over, that their defence had improved. I know we didn't necessarily see it in the Champions League last week, but in the Bundesliga, they definitely look stronger at the back, and that was one area that they've long been kind of weak in. So if they can kind of keep more clean sheets, which they have been doing this season, they should be able to turn those kind of draws into wins, and maybe draws like they got against Mainz in the past into wins. So Mainz, they haven't been scoring lots of goals. They only had 1 goal before that 4 win over Augsburg. They were kind of struggling to score goals. They've lost both home games they've played this season, 1-0 against Cologne and Leipzig. I know Leipzig are obviously a top team, but we consider Borussia Dortmund to be a top team as well. So yeah, Borussia Dortmund should be able to do something here. The most common result with Mainz at home is a 2-1 win for Borussia Dortmund. So the correct score of 1-2 in this one is 9. If you think that both teams can score and Borussia Dortmund can come away with the win. 𝗟𝗏, he didn't score last week, which is kind of good for the odds, because they're now being pushed up back over 2. He's not in Harry Kane anytime goal scorer territory, thankfully, anymore. So there is a bit of value to back him. And 𝗏 has 5 goals in 6 games this season. His first The first Bundesliga game he didn't score was last week. That was the first one in 9 Bundesliga games he hadn't scored in. So 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏 is always a good look as an anytime goal scorer, 210. Yeah, but I'm just going for a bit more value than that, and trusting in Borussia Dortmund for a change. Borussia Dortmund to win at 250, 219 even better.
Be careful when you are trusting Borussia Dortmund, especially when they are playing away. Correct score 1-2 over 2.5 goals. So I'm also following your thinking. Again, could be a tricky game for Borussia Dortmund, although the odds are good. Also, perhaps we should follow a rule decision of not trusting Bayer Leverkusen is the next game against Pauli away, only 5 points for Leverkusen, conceded in the last minute against Gladbach, so they keep going with the bad start of the season. Remember, also got a draw in the Champions League debut in the Parken in Copenhagen, and the opposite for Pauli. First defeat of the season, yes, against Stuttgart, but 7 points.
Yeah, Pauli are starting the season brilliantly. They're still in 5th after 4 match days, which few would have predicted. They were kind of expected to struggle, or maybe at least be in the bottom half of the table after they kind of had a solid season to stay in the Bundesliga, and kind of comfortably in the end stayed in the Bundesliga last season. So people kind of predicted maybe they could struggle a bit this season because they don't have the budget that other teams have, so they're not able to bring in the same level of players because that's their ethos as a club. They're not going to take these outside investors. They're not going to sell. They're not going to sell their soul for a bit of cash. They're not going to have controversial sponsors or anything like that. So St. Pauli, this maybe because of the way they are, they make it difficult on themselves, but they haven't been making things difficult on themselves this season. They've been putting good performances up until last week when they lost to Stuttgart, and they stuttered a bit in that one. And I think Leverkusen, they're kind of coming to grips with the new manager. 𝗷𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, the Danish coach, he hasn't lost a game yet as Borussia or as Bayer Leverkusen head coach, so that's a massive improvement on 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 so far. It was 1-1 in this game in April, and Leverkusen won 2-1 in the first half of last season. St. Pauli are scoring plenty of goals so far this season. They're averaging 1.3 goals in the second half of matches, and Leverkusen 0.8 in their games. So these teams seem to be playing out interesting matches in the second half of matches, which we've seen from Leverkusen in the past, particularly that season where they won the Bundesliga. Leverkusen, they've only played 1 game this season in all competitions that didn't have 2 or more goals in the second half of a match. So I'm not saying definitely Leverkusen are going to win it for this one, but I think there's going to be goals in the second half. So I'm going for total second half goals over 1.5 at 205.
All right, both teams to score for 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲. Leverkusen playing away. It's a tricky match day, actually, with the big clubs playing away, apart from Bayern Munich, because also RB Leipzig playing against Wolfsburg. This could be a tricky game. We can see the odds really high for all the outcomes. Actually, Leipzig are the underdog for this game, despite the good start of the season. 9 points. They were thrashed by Bayern. Remember, 6-0. In the first match day, but then beat Cologne, Mainz, and Heidenheim, and Wolfsburg 5 points. And the only win was against Heidenheim.
Yeah, they're 12th in the table, so it's not looking rosy for them at the moment, but maybe things have improved because they've signed Christian Eriksen, and he made his debut last weekend. It was a 1-0 loss to Dortmund, but when you have a player like him in midfield, he can kind of make things tick, and he can do things perhaps that Wolfsburg midfielders in recent years, and now they've obviously had huge names in the past, but in the last couple of years haven't been able to do. So hopefully Christian Eriksen can kick on and make this team into a force, because we have seen them kind of be good in the past. I know it's probably in the mid 2000s now at this stage, but which is 20 years ago. But yeah, if Wolfsburg could get back as a competitive team, that would be good too. And Eriksen, he was disappointed with his performance, or he's disappointed with the result, but he was saying that he was happy and really proud to have played his first game for Wolfsburg, and he has hopes that there's more to come. So hopefully there is more to come for Wolfsburg. And then I think that RB Leipzig, they have a better kind of record against Wolfsburg in recent years. In the last 20 meetings, RB Leipzig have won over half of them. They've won 11 of them. Wolfsburg have conceded in every game so far this season. And Leipzig have been improving week to week. I think the best performance was last week, 3-1 win over Cologne, and Romelu scored in that one, and I think he can continue to score. He picked RB Leipzig over the Premier League, and he had an interview in the local newspaper last week to say why he joined. He liked their intense football. He was excited by it. He has 2 goals in 4 games so far, including one against Cologne last week. So I like to look at him as an anytime goal scorer because the odds are 3 for him to score in this match.
Wolfsburg to score over 1.5 goals. That's very brave from 𝗵𝗵𝗀𝗀. Indeed. 7 goals scored by Wolfsburg in this start of the Bundesliga. And the late kickoff is Gladbach Eintracht Frankfurt. Also a difficult game for Frankfurt that got an unexpected and bad defeat with Union Berlin 3-4. They were 4-1 down at one point, and even against Galatasaray, it's true that they thrashed them, but they conceded many chances, especially in the first half. And the thing is that all 5 games over 3.5 goals for Frankfurt. That's a lot of goals in their games. And Gladbach have had a really poor start. Only 2 points. Frankfurt to win is 2.27. Not sure if you are brave enough to back them, or is better to go for goals?
I think kind of yes for Frankfurt and no for Gladbach maybe. I'm not sure Gladbach is going to score a lot of goals, although their new coach, after helping them, their new temporary coach, after helping them to a 1-1 draw against Bayer Leverkusen, 𝗀𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 rumors kind of indicated that as long as the results were going favourably, that he's going to be in the job. So he could be made a permanent head coach. He was their under-19s boss before he took over after 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 was sacked. Too late to sack him, or better late than never, I suppose, to sack him. So Polanski could be their next permanent coach, but he does face a difficult home match against Frankfurt this weekend. And Frankfurt, yeah, they have been scoring a lot of goals. They scored 3 goals against Union Berlin, even though they were defeated. But they showed kind of passion to come back, I think, and a strong mentality to come back into that one. Dino Topmøller, their coach, he was outraged after the match. He said it was totally unnecessary. He called it a bitter defeat. I think they will look to avenge that, obviously, this weekend. But the positive for them was 𝐿 was scoring again, like we have been tipping throughout the season. And the odds aren't reflecting him being a regular goal scorer yet, perhaps because the position he plays, or the nominal position he plays, that he's down as a midfielder. He's the first teenager to score 4 goals, or to score in each of the first 4 games of a Bundesliga season, and he could score again here, because I like the odds of him scoring as well. Again, 𝐿 anytime goal scorer is 360 if he can continue his streak, and he is scoring lots of goals for Frankfurt. Frankfurt have been scoring lots of goals. Gladbach, no, they have not been scoring goals. That goal last weekend was their first goal of the season in the 92nd minute or whatever it was by 𝗵𝗵𝗏. So yeah, can they do it again? Maybe, but I don't think they're going to score twice. I like to look at Frankfurt to win, like I said, at 227. But even more so, I really like to look at Gladbach under 1.5 goals at 173.
Indeed, they are having problems scoring. They are not conceding a lot, actually. Also, 6 goals conceded, 1 goal scored by Borussia Mönchengladbach. Frankfurt to win, both for 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 and I guess also for 𝗵𝗵𝗏. Frankfurt to score over 1.5 goals. And also, Joel thinks we are going to see goals in this one. Frankfurt involved in the Champions League the following week, of course. Next game, Freiburg. Hoffenheim. Freiburg are playing Europa League this week, 6 points after beating Werder Bremen, and Stuttgart back-to-back wins for Freiburg playing Basel in the Europa League. We have a video in the channel in case you are wondering about the game. And the Hoffenheim, same points, Ronan, 6 away, actually won both games against Leverkusen and Union Berlin.
Yeah, Hoffenheim don't look too bad at all this season. These teams are kind of very evenly matched so far this season. They both have 2 wins, they both have 2 defeats, and they're 7th and 9th. So there's not a lot to separate them. Perhaps Freiburg might be a bit tired after having to play in midweek, whereas Hoffenheim don't. So Hoffenheim have that advantage. But if Hoffenheim get a penalty in this game, do not expect it to be scored. No, 𝗛𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏, the young German goalkeeper for Freiburg, he's saved 5 penalties in a row for Freiburg. It's a new Bundesliga record. Yeah, he's saved all of his last 5 penalties for Freiburg. So if Hoffenheim get a penalty in this one, don't expect it to be scored. The goalkeeper's probably going to save it. Yeah. Freiburg, yeah, they've had 2 losses, then 2 wins, so they're consistent. Maybe the next is going to be 2 draws, and Hoffenheim is win-loss so far, so they should be looking for a win in their next game. But it was a 1-1 draw when these teams played in Sinsheim last season, in Hoffenheim's home ground, so I think it could be the same again. So I'm going to go for a draw, 3.85. I think there could be a value with that.
And 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 Freiburg to win. Here, both things to score is also possible. We have 3 games on Sunday. Next one is Cologne, Stuttgart. Also, Stuttgart playing European football against 𝐴𝐵𝐵𝐺. 6 points in this start of the season, and lost both away games. And Cologne suffered the first defeat against RB Leipzig, but as you mentioned at the beginning, they've been great in the comeback to the Bundesliga.
They have, yeah, they're breath of fresh air, because obviously they're one of these big traditional clubs in the Bundesliga, so it is great to have them back. They have great history in the Bundesliga. They are a huge team in a huge kind of footballing area. They're only a few miles away from Leverkusen, but it's a bigger city. It's a bigger kind of sporting fan base, and some of the people, the players, and the the staff of Leverkusen actually live in Cologne or Düsseldorf nearby. So yeah, it is a gorgeous city to visit. I would highly recommend it, but it is a great place to watch football games, and it's even better now again that they're back in the Bundesliga, and especially when they're putting in performances like they have been recently. So yeah, Stuttgart, they're only 1 point behind Cologne in the table, but they're 4 positions behind. So yeah, both these teams have started relatively strongly. Stuttgart, obviously, like we mentioned, they have the Europa League to worry about because they won the cup last season, but they should be generally better in the league than they were last season, because they had a very inconsistent season in the Bundesliga last season. So hopefully they can put that behind them. Cologne have been conceding a lot of goals, which should kind of help Stuttgart. Cologne have conceded 3 in each of their last 2 games. The average total match goals is 4 exactly in Cologne matches. So far, so expect there to be 4 goals in every game they played. They have 2.3 goals scored per game themselves. Stuttgart 1.3. So both teams to score, yes, looks pretty good. Like 𝗵𝐴 is saying in the comments, that's 150. But as well as that, total goals over 3 is a good option, 191. So as always, like I say, if you're betting on an exact number, make sure the bookie is going to pay you back if it's exactly 3.
Of course, both teams to score is always a good option in the Bundesliga. We have 4 teams with all games, both teams to score: Augsburg, Bayer Leverkusen, Eintracht Frankfurt, and Hoffenheim. So it's a good idea. Where do I find these stats? In Oddspedia. If you go to the Bundesliga page and you scroll down, you have all these interesting stats that might help you to place your bets as well as this video, Ronan. And still 1 game to go. Is Union Berlin Hamburg. 6 points for Union Berlin, 4 for Hamburg, finally getting the first win of the season in their comeback to the Bundesliga. Beat Heidenheim. It was very important after losing early in the season the derby, and it was also very important for Union Berlin beating Frankfurt 3-4. All the games have been over 2.5 goals for Union Berlin, by the way.
Yeah, Union Berlin, usually we expect them to win 1-0 or draw every match 1-0, but this season they've actually conceded the most goals, 11 in the Bundesliga, and they haven't even played Bayern Munich yet. So Union Berlin are conceding lots of goals at the moment, which should help Hamburg. But Hamburg, they were only able to score their 2 goals so far this season, both of them coming last weekend. But it's great to see them back in the Bundesliga too, and historic goal. First goal in a long time for Hamburg in the Bundesliga, and then they scored their second one to pick up a win, 2-1 win over Hoffenheim. That Union Berlin game against Frankfurt, like we said earlier, was a bit crazy. The head coach, Steffen Baumgart, he had to come out and apologise after the game, because when Frankfurt made it 3-4 to kind of get within 1 goal of Union Berlin, he was caught on camera sticking up his middle finger. And he said after the match he had to defend himself. I was looking into empty space. It wasn't directed at anyone, so everything's fine, is what he said. But the DFB, the German Football Association, have decided to have investigated it to see if there's anything more, because you can't be caught on camera doing those sorts of things because people are watching, obviously. But he was sent off in that match too, but not for the middle finger gesture. He had a paper ball that he threw onto the pitch, and when he was angry in that same sort of moment, so he was sent off in that match. So it's really interesting to see will he be back in the dugout for this one at the weekend, because Steffen Baumgart, as we know, is a very interesting character. Before there was a video of him with his dog when he was coaching before, and in the Bundesliga there was a video of him another time he couldn't appear on the bench, and he was with his dog in his sitting room, and both him and the dog were getting very angry at watching the match on the television. So if you haven't seen that one, have a look for it. This is a team, Union Berlin, this season, who are scoring lots of goals. Only Bayern, Frankfurt, Dortmund, and Cologne have actually scored more goals than them. They've scored 8 goals, like the 11 that I said they conceded earlier. The last time they met was 6 years ago in the Zweite Liga, the second Bundesliga. Union Berlin won that one 2-0. If you're going to think that's going to happen again, correct score 2-0 is 11. Union have been able to beat Frankfurt and Stuttgart so far this season, so I don't see why they can't beat Hamburg. The Union win is 2-15 on the screen, 2-13. It was 2-10 when I checked last night, but it's 2-15 now, yeah. If my eyes are working correctly this morning, yeah. Union Berlin to win 2-15, but tying in with that Hamburg not to score in this one, I like slightly better value in both teams to score no in this one, which is a rarity in the Bundesliga, but I'll go for it here. 2-17 for both teams to score no.
It is a rarity. 𝗵𝐿 is going for double chance, actually, for Hamburg and 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 for Union Berlin to win. It's an oddity, but Hamburg, together with Dortmund, Gladbach, and Leipzig, are the worst in both teams to score. Only 1 game out of 4 had both teams to score. Well, this is it, guys. As always, remember, we have our tipster competitions going on monthly, yearly. Now even we have one with the Premier League, so it's not there in the menu yet, but it will be there, I know. And we have also rivals where you can create your own tipster competitions. Well, Ronan, let's wrap up this with your safe bet.
My safe bet is St. Pauli Leverkusen to have over 1.5 match goals. That's 129.
ACCA?
My ACCA is Bayern to win, Augsburg agent handicap 0, St. Pauli Leverkusen over 1.5 goals, and Gladbach themselves under 2.5 goals. That's for 4.45.
Okay, 4-fold ACCA. Thank you, Ronan. Thanks, everyone, for watching, and see you next week. Bye.
Bye.